Hey guys, it's Haunted House here. It took me a little bit longer than your average Call of Duty no-lifer, but I finally completed the first Prestige. You may be wondering then why I'm using old footage that I had previously recorded. Well, it's because I kind of fucked up my settings in the recording and everything looks like digital sludge, so we're gonna have to use this for the time being. So I apologize, I'll get better on that in the future. Today I wanted to take some time to give you my thoughts on the game, and my honest opinion as somebody who is not affiliated with the franchise. I don't make money based on how it performs or anything like that. Hell, I don't even make money on these videos. So let's go ahead and dive into my honest thoughts, and be sure to join in the discussion below with your thoughts on how the game's been going so far, so that we can have a great discussion about how the Black Ops 6 experience has been for everybody. Without further ado, let's go ahead and tune in, but as always, thank you for watching. So let's go ahead and discuss the good, the bad, and the interesting in my opinion. Starting with the good. The game feels great, man. There's something about playing a Call of Duty game. It's kind of that fun, snappy arcade shooter that it's easy to just put a ton of time into. The franchise has always been about that pick up and play action, and I really feel like Black Ops 6 nailed this. When I get home from work after a long day and I have a little bit of downtime before retiring for the night, I can always pick up and play a couple of games and know that I'm going to have a relatively good time. All the weapons that I've used so far have felt great. Even weapons in classes that I've tended to shy away from in the past, like snipers or marksman rifles, they feel pretty good to use, and I've dabbled with shotguns as well, and those have worked well for me, at least so far. You can really tell that they put a lot of love and care into the weapons, and the attachment system having mostly just positives instead of a ton of negatives makes it pretty easy to set up a weapon in a way that you want it to be set up. I love the streamlining on this process. I don't have to have a degree in mathematics to figure out the optimal best setup for my weapon. I just click what I want and go, which is how it should be. You can really tell that the developers at Treyarch wanted the maps to be quick and fast-paced, thus the smaller size, and in that regard, I think that they succeeded. All of these maps feel pretty fast-paced, and you don't have to go too far to find the action, with some notable exceptions. Overall, I know a lot of people have some complaints about this game, but I have to say, as a casual player, somebody who hasn't played it in a long time, the overall package has been pretty good. It's been an enjoyable time for me. I know it is trendy to hate on the game and try to blame the developers for a bunch of different things, and they haven't done everything perfectly. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to give them a pass on everything. But I do think that there is a lot to celebrate in this game, and we're kind of doing it a disservice when we just ignore that until the next game comes out, when we return back to the nostalgia of the previous Call of Duty, as people are already doing with Modern Warfare 3 after building their careers off of complaining about it. Yes, there are some things that need to improve, but we've got a pretty good start here. Speaking of things that need to improve, let's go ahead and now shift our focus onto some of the things that are bad. As we mentioned, the maps are a little bit smaller, so they're a little bit more fast-paced, but as mentioned in a previous video of ours, that makes everything kind of feel the exact same. I used the example of music in that you need to have ebbs and flows, slow parts, quieter parts to make the faster, louder parts really stand out, so it doesn't just become a slew of crazy fast heavy metal solo notes thrown at your face that just end up leading you to feel exhausted rather than enjoying your experience. That's kind of how I currently feel with the multiplayer maps on offer. Even though they have different settings and locations, they all kind of play the exact same, so there's no real break. There's no ground war to go to, no large maps that break up the map pool. And as a result, I usually end up feeling exhausted by the time I hit the end of my session playing Black Ops 6. Nuketown arriving was a relief. It was a nice little respite from the rest of the map pool, but I do think that it became a crutch for me on this Prestige. I ended up spending a majority of my time leveling on Nuketown, a map that came out 14 years ago that I have played in multiple games at this point. So one of my goals with the rest of my leveling in this game is to make sure that I try to explore the rest of the map pool so that I'm really taking them in so I can really form my opinions on them. But certain maps are just a problem. They're just not great. I complained previously about Red Card, and somebody pointed out that this is most likely part of the large Warzone map that is going to be coming later on, just repurposed into a multiplayer map. And honestly, that makes a ton of sense. I didn't really understand what their purpose with that map was, just because it felt so disjointed. There was a very bad flow to it, and it didn't feel like it really fit with any of the other maps. But with that theory in mind, it makes a lot more sense, honestly. I am hopeful that the maps we get with Season 1 and beyond can do some heavy lifting to try and elevate this map pool, but only time will really be able to tell. The graphics of the game are another thing that really stuck out to me as not so great. I know this is most likely a result of the game releasing on the last gen consoles like PS4, but man, it is looking rough out here graphically. I'm not sure how much of this is affected by the streaming of textures in real time. I'm guessing that has a lot to do with it. Coupling with the fact that this game had to be released on last-gen consoles, that set a pretty hard limitation on what we could do with the game. But that said, other games have come out and released on last-gen consoles and still looked good. Hopefully this is something they can take a look at, because right now there's a lot of muddy textures, some awkward-looking models, and I am usually not a graphics guy, but it is to the point where it has been distracting a couple of times while playing the game. My final thought on the bad is, of course, skill-based matchmaking. Now, I'm just an average casual player. I don't get paid to play Call of Duty full-time. I still work my full-time career, and then when I have downtime after spending time with my family, play this game. So I'm not out here manipulating the skill-based matchmaking for my own benefit, or two-boxing or any of that. But there's a lot of content creators that are willing to do that. They're willing to do that so they can get into lobbies with people who can barely play the game, just so they can show off their new quote-unquote God build for a few YouTube clicks. I've never really understood this mentality. It kind of seems like most creators are stuck between these two polar extremes of trying to milk all the content they can from the game by pwning the noobs in a low-level lobby with a god build that will be replaced by the time they post their next video, and then going and complaining about skill-based matchmaking in their video the following week. Dude, you're utilizing skill-based matchmaking to make these videos. You can't really have it both ways. I personally don't enjoy the skill-based matchmaking aspect of it, because when I have a good game, it automatically makes me think, oh crap, did I just have a good game because skill-based matchmaking put me into a lobby with new players? I have good games and I have bad games just like anybody else, and sometimes I want to play around with a new gun or try and unlock some attachments. I don't want to have to feel like I have to sweat my ass off in each and every engagement, no matter what I do, because I'm in a lobby where I'm expected to carry. I'm just not at that skill level, and I know it, but the game tries to put me in that position sometimes, which kinda sucks. There's a lot that could be said about skill-based matchmaking, a lot that has been said in my videos and in other videos, so I won't harp on it too long, but it's definitely something hindering my experience overall. For the interesting for this game, there are some things on the horizon that seem like they'll be very good, and I am excited for them, but I am cautiously optimistic. Season 1 seems to be bringing a lot to the table in terms of maps, different game modes to check out, as well as bringing in another zombies map, and the integration of Warzone into Black Ops 6. All of these things are great, and I'm excited to check them all out in their own time. I think that a lot of people are putting a lot of hope into these things to really carry the game and elevate it to the level that they believe that this franchise should be at. I'm more so just looking for some fun. I don't expect this game to be the be-all, end-all. It's not going to be the game that I play for the rest of my life, and I think that it's okay if it has some missteps along the way, as long as I'm still having fun. To round out my thoughts on everything, yes, there are some things that can be fixed in this game. There are some things that are lacking at the moment that need to be addressed, but I think there is a lot of good here. By saying that I am enjoying this game, I'm not negating any criticism of it. I just think that far too often people are either just glazing this game to the point where it's obvious that they have some incentive to only say nice things about it, or they're just bashing the ever-loving shit out of it and trying to get as many hate views as they can. I understand that YouTube is a game and we have to play the algorithm. I've been on YouTube in some fashion for over a decade now, so I know the game, I know the ins and outs. I think it's just way too common for creators to fall into these two extremes, either extreme love of the game or extreme hate of it. And that's not healthy for anybody. It's not healthy for the creators making that content, and it's not healthy for the conversation about these games that we love. I think we could be realistic and say that there are a lot of good things to enjoy with this game. I'm having a good time with it. but there are a lot of things that can be improved. And it's okay to have those conversations about things we want to see get better. We can do that in a civil way, where everybody can kind of voice their opinion, be heard. Because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want a game that we can enjoy. So let's be honest with ourselves and others, and make sure that we're having civil conversation. Like I said in the comments below, let me know your thoughts on your experience with Call of Duty. Make sure to let me know how it's been for you so far and what you hope to see in the future. But with that said, I'm gonna go continue my grind towards the next prestige. Thank you so much for taking some time to hang out with me today. Make sure to eat well, stay hydrated, take care of yourself and those around you. And I'll see you next time, friends.